Students, let's continue with the economics of grade 9, and the name of the chapter is an economy, its sectors, basic concepts and entities, chapter number 3 from your book. This is the second video we are doing. So let's start, and we are starting from wants or human wants. Basically, if we say what is a want, in general we can say want means desire. A want is a desire to acquire something. Okay, but in economics little bit more is added. It is not a desire to acquire something plus an effort to acquire it. This is called want. Want doesn't mean that you are just desiring to get it. What is the effort you are making to get it? This is called want. Characteristics of want. Want for a particular good may be saturated. This means as you are having more and more of a particular good or a particular item, the desire to have it more may decrease. Okay, this is the first point they're trying to explain us. Number B, wants are unlimited. Human wants are ever growing and never ending. You must remember this, because human wants, as you satisfy the first want, the second will arise. Satisfying the second, the third will arise. So never ever a person can say that all the wants have been satisfied. Okay, number C, wants are interrelated. Here we are going to understand two different kinds of wants. One is the complementary, other is the substitutional goods. Complementary goods, here they are jointly demanded. They are complementing each other. For example, tea and sugar. Whenever a person is going to buy tea, that person will buy sugar. This is a complementary good. Okay, and next we are having substitute or substitutional good. So you can substitute one good in place of other. Suppose the price of tea suddenly rises, then the person can easily opt for the coffee. That person is substituting, it is replacing one product in place of another. So wants are interrelated. Here we got two types of commodities, two types of goods. One is a complementary good, other is a substitutional goods. Number D, intensity of want may differ. So the intensity, the basic needed products, like for example food, the want of food when a person is really hungry, so the intensity, the urge of that thing is more in place of the luxurious items. For example, the want of a jewelry, maybe a want of a diamond ring, that is not that very urgent, right? So it is telling us the intensity of the want may differ. Wants are competitive. This means human wants, as I was telling you, is ever growing and never ending. This means that we are having numerous wants. Which want will be satisfied first and which one will be satisfied the next? It is depending upon our priority. Okay, wants are competitive. Wants are competing against each other. So the most needed, the urgent one, we will keep at the top, and next the less important, the next the less, much more less important, and at the end the want which will be placed, if we don't satisfy that also, that is not going to harm us. Next, number F, wants are repetitive. This means every day we are wanting certain things that are coming in a repeated manner. For example, one for breakfast, one for lunch, one for dinner, all these are coming repeated way. Wants are dynamic. Wants are dynamic means as the new products are getting launched in the market, okay, the wants are shifting. Before, the want for the radio was much higher. As the television came into existence, the want for the radio diminished and the want for the television increased. But as again the television got evolved, the color television came into existence, the black and white television demand also decreased. So as we are getting new and new products in the market, the demand is also shifting. It is dynamic. It is not, the want is not static in its nature. Okay, it's not going to remain fixed for the entire life. Formation of wants. Here we are going to study that there are three ways in which wants are formed. Number one is physical need. Physical need, you can say these are the primary needs of the person. These are the first need. Okay, for example, food, shelter, clothes, all these are coming at the physical need. These are the primary, the first thing we need. Next is the pleasant sensations. This means if we don't have this, if we don't have this pleasant sensation, it is not going to harm us, but then also we are getting habituated to it. For example, food is a basic need, right? That is a primary need. That is the first one, physical need, food. But delicious food, or maybe a value added like ice cream, okay, that is a pleasant sensation. Now ice cream is not essential for our living, right? So that is pleasant sensation. Next we are having social factors. Social factors means the commodities or the wants which is developing in us due to the advertisements we are seeing, and the products which are highlighting the, you can say, status of few persons. Okay, for example, iPhone. This is a social factor. The persons also are using iPhones, we often feel that those persons are very rich, they are having a status, they are having a class, right? So wants are developing in us in these three manners. First is the physical, that is the primary needs. Those are very essential, everybody have to fulfill it. Next we are having the pleasant sensations. Those are not essential, but then also we are using it. And next we are having the social factors. Those are from the society we are getting the knowledge that these are the products which are demonstrating us about the status, and we are trying to have a demonstrative effect from those kind of products. Next we are having classification of wants. One is the primary want, other is the secondary want. Primary, from the term itself you can understand, that is the very first thing needed in everybody's life. These are the basic necessities of life are treated as the primary wants. Wants for very essential commodities to lead one's life, for example food and cloth. Number two, wants for the commodities to increase the efficiency of an individual, for example education, health, training, all these are coming in the second position. And in the third position it is coming wants for goods to satisfy one's habit. This may differ from person to person. Maybe somebody in the morning is asking for tea and somebody in the morning is asking for a newspaper. That is that person's habit. Somebody is asking for coffee, somebody is asking for bread. Okay, so these are according to the habit, it will vary from person to person. What are the secondary wants? Secondary wants are again divided into two categories. One is the wants for comforts, other is a want for luxury. Want for comforts means like electric fan, chair, bed, all these are coming under comfort. Okay, and luxuries are coming like costly jewelries, cars, all these are coming under luxurious items. Next we are having goods. What is the meaning of this term goods? The term goods means that tangible means we can touch. Okay, tangible goods which satisfy human wants. So let us classify this. What is the meaning of good? You have understood. Things which can be touched are called the goods. Here they are trying to classify free goods and economic goods. Free goods means free, we get it from the nature, for example air, the sunlight. Okay, all these are the free goods. Economic good means the goods which we have to buy, we have to exchange it with the money value. Okay, that is called the economic good. Next we are having consumers good and producers good. Consumer goods means the goods which are ready to be consumed, to be used. For example, you go to the shop and buy a piece of bread that is ready to be used, you can eat it directly like that, so that is consumers good. Or a t-shirt, you can just buy it and use it, right? That is consumers good. Producers good means the goods which are bought in the market but they are not ready for direct use. You have to put it under production, you have to produce something out of it. For example, if somebody is going and buying cottons, you can directly not put the cotton on your body, right? That cotton have to be spun thread have to be made, from the thread the cloth have to be woven, and from the cloth again the tailor have to cut and then make the shirt. So you can say the piece of cloth which we are getting from the market is not the consumer's good, it is producer's good. Okay, the piece of cloth, the cloth will be again cut and different kind of products will be made. Often these producer's good are called as the capital goods. Next we are having private goods and public goods. Private goods means the goods which are owned by one individual and his family or that single person is using, that is the private good. Public goods are those where the goods are consumed by a group of people. Okay, like park, that is a public good. Swing in the park, that is a public good. Okay, maybe some not only parks, there are many other like bridges, roads, all these are also called public goods. Non-durable goods and durable goods. Non-durable goods are often called as perishable goods also. Okay, this means the items which gets spoiled very easily. For example, you can say food items, those cannot be stored for long time, and durable items are those which can be kept or used for longer time. For example, furniture, for example, TV. Okay, all these are coming under durable, and non-durable are those are getting spoiled very easily, they are perishable items. Intermediary goods and final goods. Intermediary goods are certain goods which produce a purpose of being used in the production of other goods. Okay, intermediary goods are those which are used to produce some other good, and final goods are those which are ready, that is the final thing, that is ready, you can use it, that is the final good. Necessary, comfort and luxurious, already few minutes back I have explained this. Next we are coming to services. What are the meaning of this what is the meaning of this term service? By a service we mean the item which is not physically tangible. Okay, you cannot touch it, it is not physically tangible, physically you cannot touch it, but satisfies human want. For example, the services provided by the doctors, by the nurses, or you can say by the engineers, by the lawyers, by the teachers, all these are coming under the services. Okay, let us now understand few basic features of it. Support to agriculture and industrial activities. Expansion of agriculture and industrial sectors of an economy largely depends on the support provided by various services such as banks and insurance companies, right? Whenever the farmers are opting for some kind of loan, the banks are always ready to help them. Next, number B is intangible goods. I told you physically you cannot touch it, so they are intangible goods. Next is creates utility. Utility means, what is the meaning of this term utility? Utility means satisfying power of a commodity. Whatever the service the doctor is providing, the patient is getting benefited, is getting satisfied. Yes, I have consulted the doctor have told me to have such and such medicines, I'll get well soon, right? So this is an utility, the service is creating a utility. Next we are having, what is the meaning of the term wealth? By wealth we mean the stock. What is the meaning of stock? Stock means collection. Okay, stock of goods under the ownership of a person or a nation. Here again the wealth is divided into two categories, right, or classified into two categories: personal wealth and the national wealth. So let's first start with the personal wealth. Personal wealth means the stock of all the goods owned by a person, owned by a single person. And in economics they are not saying about the health. Okay, if you say personal health, personal well-being, yes, that also comes under wealth, but that is individual wealth, that is not personal wealth. Okay, what is the personal wealth? Whatever, like property, money, whatever things or furnitures, whatever the person is having, and that can be transferred from one owner to the other owner, that is called personal wealth. Okay, next. Okay, the stock of such transferable goods which are used to produce some other goods is considered to be business wealth. Okay, if a person is having some personal wealth, means first of all, wealth means we are able to transfer that good. So personal wealth means whatever I'm having in my home as a personal, whatever I'm owning, I can easily transfer it to somebody else. That is personal wealth. But if that same thing is used to produce something else, like I'm having a factory, I'm having a machine which is producing maybe something, so if I transfer that item to somebody else, if I give that item to somebody else, this means it is a business wealth. Next, they are saying about the national wealth. National wealth of a country is the sum, means total or addition, you can say, addition or sum of all public properties in the country. This also takes into account that part of total personal wealth in the country which is not liable to the government. You can see there is an equation given here. What is the national wealth? Personal wealth plus business wealth plus social wealth, everything that is existing within that nation is called the national wealth. No matter if it is personal or if it is from the government side or it is from your side. Okay, so it is all the wealth that is existing within the nation, within the boundary of that nation, is called the national wealth. Next, we are having wealth and welfare. First of all, wealth and welfare both are two different things. Both are not similar. Both are not the same thing. Okay, but economists are saying that both are working hand in hand each other. So by wealth of a society, we mean the well-being enjoyed by society. Wealth in general gives rise to welfare. Wealth is giving rise to welfare. Although wealth and welfare are not the same thing. Economists, however, assume that when wealth increases, welfare also increases. Okay, as wealth is increasing, the welfare is also increasing. What is welfare now? So, as welfare is not an observable quantity, it is difficult to estimate welfare because from one person to other person the welfare may vary. Okay, now the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto believes that the total economic wealth is the sum of individual welfare. Now further they have divided this. A person's well-being is determined by a large number of economic variables and non-economic variables. This means that individual's well-being, or you can say welfare, a person's welfare is having both the parts. It is having the economic welfare and it is having the social welfare also. Okay, a person is only earning money and not physically fit, that person is not having the welfare. Okay, the person when is having sufficient amount of income, that is the economic welfare, and when the person is having, you can say, some activities or having physically fit, that they are considering as the social welfare. Now both the aspects have to be present for the individual welfare, and as the individual will have the welfare, the nation itself will have the welfare. It is interrelated. First the individual will have, then the nation will have.